Hello Simmers, today we're going to be going over the Sims 4 Vampires game pack Build by Objects. This pack retails for $19.99 USD. However, every few months the EA app does have sales where you can get this at a discount. If you do decide to purchase it, you can use a creator code. While it doesn't give you a discount, it is a way to support your favorite creators and that it gives them a small commission. We've got this nice fancy vampire bed here. Unfortunately, this is the only bed that we get. It would have been cool to see a twin size bed, but I do like that we've got a little bassinet. I think that's really cool. Of course, we've got some coffins here, which I guess maybe these are supposed to be beds as well. Not quite sure. I guess we'll find that out later. That will be in another video, I guess. Okay, we've got this vampire layer chair here. And then we've got this dining chair. So we've got a few different chairs as well. There's another dining chair, which I kind of like this one. It's also giving like king vibes. And then we've got a little draw me like one of your French girl couches, a little stone bench here, which is kind of nice. This one was kind of interesting. It's always interesting to me when they do those super high backs. I don't know. And then we've got some new cupboards, which I quite like. I'm trying to give you guys an idea of what each, not swatch, but what each of those cupboards look like in this new swatch, I guess you could say. So yeah, that'll give you an idea. I do actually like these cupboards. I like how the top has like a marbly theme for it. I think that's really pretty. I find myself using these quite a bit lately. And then of course we've got some cupboards to match those cabinets. And then I do like the end pieces that for the corners where you can actually see the insides or you can see that there's stuff in it. I think that's fun and neat. I like when they do that, you know, because we can't really put anything in them, you know. It would be cool if the Sims would actually reach into the cupboards and get stuff out. That'd be fun. Okay, so we've got a couple of tables here. And these are the exact same, but one is going to sit 6 on either side and one will sit 4 on either side. We do have a new shelf here, and it does have a bright red swatch, which I was kind of surprised by. We've got a nice sink here. I think this is kind of cool. I like the little accents on the hot and cold, how it changes colors. And this toilet, oh my gosh, it seems so old school or something. I don't know, just that pull, you know, to flush. I don't know. But we've got a few different organs, and then that bathtub that we saw there. I think these are very nice. For some reason though, when you pull it up, it's always going to come up backwards after the last update. This is what happened. We do have a new bar, so it kind of goes with the theme. And of course we've got some headstones. It wouldn't be complete without it, you know. See, we've got some that are kind of grungy, and then of course we've got an urn. And then these next items, these are really cool. I'm a big fan of these, honestly, because we've got the spider webs, we've got the torn walls. I think this is really fun for, you know, rags to riches, or just getting on like a grungy element, or you're wanting a little more realism to your game to make it more lifelike, you know, because real life isn't perfect. And I think that these swatches are a great example of that, and I'm here for it. I really love that. Look, we've even got more stains. Isn't that crazy? Like, we've got cracks in the walls, water stains, wallpaper peeling off, all that good stuff. Now we've got a little tapestry here. And then we do have some photos. More photos, of course. These are vampire photos. And then this one is huge. But of course you can size it down or size it up. got a few different swatches for that mirror. Do you see how the top of it is like pokey? That's kind of funny. And this does match the bathroom, so that mirror goes perfectly with that. Now we've got a few different curtains. For some reason, we only got one wall height in that, which I think was kind of a flop because we get 2 wall heights in this. So I'm not sure why we're getting only 1 wall height there. Now this is kind of interesting because we'll see these, and maybe we already did go through them, but yeah, you see, we can put these statues on top of them. I guess we can mix and match. Maybe that's why we get 3 different ones. Yeah, okay, that would make sense to me because you're going to see that there are swatches where these statues are already put on these pedestals. So it is kind of interesting what they do there. And that's the only reason I can come up with. But this is kind of funny. It's like a flying llama bat. I don't know. Kind of crazy, right? So here we go. You see, what did I tell you? So I guess you can switch it up, and I guess that's cool because I would have probably been saying, oh, I wish we could separate these and put them on how we want to. Anyways, we've got a rug here. You can make it as long as you want. So that's pretty cool. We'll go through the swatch colors here, and I just kind of want to show you how this will look as different swatches. There we go. We've got another rug, and I do like some of the more worn swatches. And then of course we got a little radiator. You guys remember those? I don't know, I'd always burn myself on them. I do like this fireplace. It's very fancy. And then we're going to be doing the wall stuff after a bit, but we've got a little towel, which I love. And then we've got this weird, like a bird skull type thing. I don't know. And then we've got a Bible. Well, I'm going to assume it's a Bible, which I think kind of goes well with this pack. And then we have a shelf here. It's got a skull inside and other things. I love this plush. I wish it came in different colors as well because it's just so fun. We've got a few different lighting items, and I do like how, I mean, candles make sense for this pack. It really does. And I do like the little beads on there. I just want to like run my fingers across it and, you know, have them clank each other. But yeah, we'd have 2 different heights in this one. Or is it kind of different? They might be kind of different. But anyways, we have some more lights. So yeah. And then we've got a clock here, and then we'll have a wardrobe as well that goes nicely with this. We're starting off with flooring here, and we do have some nice wooden floors. I do quite like these. I think they're very, I mean, we've got a lot of wooden floors, to be honest, but these ones flow diagonally, which is something that we typically don't see in The Sims. And then we've got these tiled floorings, which are kind of nice. I like that the design is so unique. And again, we don't really have anything like this either. So I do quite appreciate how different they are from what we do have in the game. And we're still going through these. We've got more to go through. Quite a few actually. But again, we've got more tiles. And honestly, these ones remind me of a quilt. Do they not remind you of a quilt? So some of these are they have black, red, and gray, and blue in a lot of the swatches. You'll see some that have the yellow, black, and white, but it's mostly that gray, black, red, and blue. They remind me of a quilt so much. I'm not sure why they didn't include a purple swatch somewhere in there, because this is the Vampires kit, and it seems that the Vampires kit has a lot of purple in it, so that was kind of interesting to me. Now we've also got some stone flooring here, which is kind of interesting. And along with that stone flooring, we do have some carpet here. And this carpet, as you'll see, will go into matching some of the wall swatches that we've got. But we're just going through this. I kind of set it up in a most confusing way, didn't I? But then you see there's that purple. I believe we already saw that, but yes, I'm doing this differently than how I normally do it. I had to re-record this video because I did it in Vampire Land, and the vampire world was way too dark. So this is my third time filming this. This one was kind of interesting. It's almost like a flower type pattern going on here. So, well, we really don't see anything much like this in the game. Again, we've got a lot of swatches with that brick. It's quite, I mean, like there's a lot. I was kind of surprised with how much there was, to be honest. And again, these do remind me of quilts. We'll zoom out here so you can kind of get a better idea of all of this, but there's a lot. See, we've got so many different floorings in this pack. All right, we've got wallpaper. Now, as we go through this wallpaper, you can kind of see how some of it shines, which is kind of interesting. And then there's some swatches that don't really tend to shine, but I'm gonna zoom in closely here for you guys. Whoa, maybe not that close, but do you guys see the little bats flying around? Isn't that interesting? That just goes with the pack perfectly. And here we have another bat. It's not so much, I mean, it's kind of more inconspicuous, but it is a bat nonetheless. Now at the top and bottom, we've got wood trims, and they are different colors. Some of them are white, some of them are brown, and I believe we have some that are actually black. But yeah, I actually kind of like the light lavendery purple swatches. We've got another wallpaper here. We've actually got gray trim as well. And some of these you'll see have that sheen to them as well. So it gives more of that high-end feel, if that makes any sort of sense to you. But they are kind of nice. We've got a few more swatches of that one, and I'm going to show you. You see this one? Do you see how that one just disappears? Isn't that interesting? So some of them do really have that sheen on there. And again, these ones have the baseboards and the trim up on top like we just mentioned. And then we've got another design. This one kind of reminds me of a chandelier. That's the vibe that I'm getting from it. You see, there's another one that kind of, depending on which angle you go, you see that dark purple? Depending on which angle you go, it'll disappear. It's very interesting. And I do think that adds for more detail. I think that's kind of cool. Like, it's just a little effect, and it's kind of fun. Now these ones, a couple of them kind of match the flooring. Well, there's some that do kind of match the flooring. Again, it's got the baseboards and the trim up on top. And again, some of these you can see pop up and disappear. So that's kind of interesting. And the black one is really hard to see, but then there it pops up again. How cool is that? We've got a couple more from that specific swatch, and then we move on to the wooden walls. These are kind of interesting because they're actually, you know, they're not like wood paneling type, but they do look like wood, do they not? Now we've got brick walls, and this kind of goes with the brick flooring, which I guess this is a vampire pack, so it does make sense to have the brick in there. We get quite a few swatches of the brick. Some of them look very similar, but they're just slightly different. You notice those two blue tinge ones. So I guess with some of them, you could even use, just to get it a little more depth, like these two right here, you could put those two together and yeah, definitely give whatever you're building some more depth. So I do kind of like that idea. Same thing with these two blue swatches here. They're very similar, but I mean, it could add more depth. I think that's kind of neat. And then with these grays, There's actually 3 of them that kind of look similar. So yeah, you'll just have to go through and see what you think. We're getting into fencing and gates now. This is the only gate that we do have, so I think it's always unfortunate when they only give us 1 gate. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see some of the designs on here a little bit better. It's kind of very uninviting. You know, I guess if you want to keep people out, definitely go for this type of gate. And you got the little pointies up there. So there's that. I like this one because it gives you a little bit of color with that brown. Like the gold and the brown look nice together. And then we've got the gold with the white. I do love those accents, but again, it looks a little scary, the guy on there, or whatever it's supposed to be. And then we've got the gray with the gold, and then the plain gray. We've got another fence here, and I just wanted to show you how it does look with the gate. The gates do sort of match it, but you'll see some exceptions here where it's a little green up there. And on the side there, not really sure why, but yeah, the gate or the fence, the gate is very tall for the fence, you know, so I don't really think we can use cheats to shrink it down. Oh wait, we can, but then you get that gap, so yeah, not gonna work, unfortunately. So what you have to do in this case is just have a ginormous gate, or you have to use base game gates. It just drives me crazy when they don't give us gates that go with the fences. We've got more fences here. These actually look more like they would go indoors than outdoors. That's just my opinion. But you can see a little design on there. There's like... it's that same face. Well, not really a face, but it kind of looks like a face, like a little nose there, almost like a hat. And anyways, that's not what it's supposed to be. It's just some design that you actually see in real life. But, I mean, it is what it is. And then we've got this stone fencing, which is kind of nice for outdoors, like... I don't know, some other sort of building that you're building. Oh, look, you can see over there something that I built. Anyways, I like this swatch right here because it's a little rustic or worn down. I've been loving that kind of look. So some of these swatches are very clean and others are more worn or look a little like they've seen some elements, you know? They've seen things. And I really do like when they include those details. We've got some columns here. We'll go through the swatches. I do like the design up at the top. I think they did a great job with that. I also liked how some of this in the swatches are worn and have seen elements and others haven't. And then we've got this basic one that matches some of the fencing. All right, we've got a few different stair railings here, and they do kind of match the fences that we have. Now, some of these look very similar, but they do have the line of gold here and then the gold right here, just so you can get a better idea. And yeah, like I said, some of them are very similar swatches. And then we've got the basic, I actually quite like how there's gray and white on this one. But this does match one of the fencings that we do have, which is quite nice. I think it would look great for like a deck. You know, a little vampire deck. They can throw parties drinking vampire... well, I guess you wouldn't drink vampire blood. You drink human blood. Or... well, I guess if you're the good vampires, then it would be the deer blood, right? Right. Okay. We do have some spandrels here. Now, I don't know why, but I can't actually unclick because if I do, you won't be able to see them. So I'm sorry, but that little shadow is just going to have to be there. Now, these match some of the columns that we do have. This one and this one are indeed different colors. They are just very similar. So, yeah. We're going through doors now, and we do have some nice doors here. I love the details on them. I like how the handle is, you know, it's not a knob, it's a handle, and then how it kind of gets a little bit bigger at the end. I feel like it shouldn't have been that big, but whatever. It's just a small detail I'm being picky about. I love the detail up at the top. I think that's a nice touch, and these do actually match some of the fencing that we do have, so that's cool too. And then we have these stone doors. Well, they're wooden on the inside, and then the outside, of course, are stone. But I do think that these are pretty nice too. See, they did these door handles very nicely because they're not as big at the end. So I do feel like they definitely had different people working on them. I don't know for sure, but that's what this is telling me here. I don't know. But I do like how some of these swatches are a little more worn and seen more of the elements like some of the other swatches that we'd seen. Like, look at this. Look at how dirty that looks. Like, isn't that, oh, I think that's so funny. I mean, I'm really into that kind of stuff on The Sims lately. This one here too. I love that they gave us these swatches. So we do have a little bit of grunge in this pack, along with some very royal feeling to it. These doors here are ginormous. You know, like, they're just huge. It reminds me of something that you would put maybe like at a castle or something. I don't know, like a vampire lair castle. I don't know. But I do like the detail in the stone around here. I think that was an excellent touch that they did. Again, I'm going to boast about the dirt and grime on this because I just think it's awesome. It makes it a lot more realistic, and it makes for fun gameplay in my opinion. And you know, not everything is always perfect, so I do appreciate that. And then I like the gold accents on some of these, and some of them have the silver. This actually, I don't know, it almost looks like it should be in a, like for a church or something? Not quite sure. The stone isn't wide enough, and I feel like it doesn't point enough at the top. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. You guys will have to let me know what your thoughts are for these doors. Like, what would you use them for? And then we're getting on to, oh, what are these called? Archways. Okay, again, we got that scary little face there. Okay, so let's continue through these archways. I do love the details right through here. Again, I think that is awesome. And we do have some that look a little more grunge. Well, some of this, if I zoom in, you can see the cracks, or is that supposed to be marble? I'll let you decide. So, yeah, we do have a little bit more grunge on some of them, and some of them not so much. But nonetheless, I mean, these archways could even be used for outdoors, or like I said, like a vampire mansion type thing. Oh, look, we got a little thing to dig for. Oh, now I'm distracted. And unfortunately, none of these doors work on rounded or curved walls. We're going through windows now. These do match the doors that we just saw very nicely. I'm going to zoom in here for you really close so you can see the little detail up there to where you actually open the window up. Now, our Sims can't actually open windows,
So that's unfortunate, but I do like the detail that they put on there. So that's nice. And then we've got these smaller windows. Those are cute. I like the little, like the accent of the wood that they have down at the bottom, where it's just adding a little more detail to the windows. Now the shape of the windows are kind of interesting. If thinking about opening up an actual window, you're not obviously going to be able to pull this up. Well, I guess right there you could, if those are the exact same sizes. Anyways, it's not that big of a deal since Sims can't even open the window. They don't know how. Now we've got a lot more windows. These ones have the stone and are a lot smaller. Now I will be going through and showing you the other side of the windows because they do look different from what's shown here. This would be the outside of the windows, I believe. I mean, I guess it's all in how you decide to set it up. So there's that. Again, we've got some grungy swatches and some not so grungy swatches, so that's cool too. Here are the other sides of the window. You can see they're just kind of plain. I don't know, I kind of wish they would have done a little more on this side. It's just, sorry about that. It's just unfortunate, you know, because we've got such great detail on one side and then on the other, it's just so plain and simple. I guess if you want to get two looks out of one, I don't know. I just, I'm not really a fan of that because I really like this side of it. I think that's super cute and fun. Now we do have some roof sculptures, or as some of them call chimneys, but I do think some of these are kind of nice. Again, we've got that stone and we've got so many swatches. Again, we've got the grungy swatches and the not so grungy swatches. So that's kind of cool. I do think this is kind of nice. They do match some of the, I think some of the fences that we've got. So that's cool too. Look at that. I love the grungy swatches. So fun. All right, we've got this gargoyle one. You guys remember, well, I guess it depends on how old you are, but there was this show on Cartoon Network called, was it Cartoon Network? I don't know. It wasn't Cartoon Network. It was some other cartoon channel, but it was called Gargoyles. Did you guys ever see that? Yeah, I guess maybe I dated myself a little bit. Okay. This is really cool. You could actually, if you use, what is it? The BB Move Objects, if you use that one, you could actually use this as like a sculpture or something inside of the house. Even sizing it down would be cool too. You know, maybe put it on the table. I don't know. I mean, you could do that with any of this stuff, really. But we already do have, looks like a little house. We already do have the gargoyles. We have other gargoyle statues, so. Now, oh wow, that's big. We do have some greenery. Well, I don't know if you could actually call it greenery because some of it's not actually green. But this one kind of reminds me of more of like a spiderweb type deal. I do like some of these. They're kind of grungy. Some of them just do not have any swatch. They're just one and done, which is kind of unfortunate because they could have done like a grayish one here, almost like a dead tree. I think that would have been nice. So that's unfortunate that we didn't get swatches of that one. Again, same with this, only that one swatch. And then we've got this, oh, this is kind of fun. A dying bush. So I guess if you don't have seasons and you don't want seasons, but you want some sort of an aspect of time change where things die, plants and stuff, then I guess this one would be a decent pack for that maybe. This is kind of a viney thing going on, a painted fern. I actually kind of like this one, but it looks too much like a snake to me. I feel like we should have definitely gotten more swatches in those, so that's really unfortunate that we didn't. For wall sculptures, we do actually have some vines here, and some of them we've only got 3 swatches, and others we have at least 5 swatches. So I'm not sure why they didn't give us more swatches in some of them. I do like how you can put these up at the top, like they just go perfectly up there, like they were made for that. So that's kind of nice. I think it's kind of, I'm gonna zoom in here. I think it's kind of weird how some of them, like when you zoom out, it almost looks like it's the same color, just darker. I mean, like, I don't know why these vines are purple, and I would have expected them to be different. I mean, when I say different, I mean to have these all the same. You know what I'm saying? I really am trying to think of a vine that's actually like that, and I'm not thinking of it. But we do have smaller sizes of vinage. I don't even think that's a word. But we do have smaller ones here. And again, you can always size up or size down, so that's nice as well. We've got some wall sculptures here. Now, this looks like a lion, like a weird lion gargoyle head to me. But we've got a few different shades of those. And then we do have some of the grungy ones, as you can see. So that is cool. Now we've got these things right here. They almost look like a water or like a bird bath type thing. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be cool if the birds could actually use it? Maybe it's a bat bath. I'm just kidding. I doubt that. But that would be really cool. I would totally love to see that implemented in the gameplay. Maybe it is. I don't know. We haven't really gone through the gameplay of this, but this is kind of reminding me of Medusa, you know, with the snakes coming out of the head. Is anybody else picking up on those vibes? I do like how, again, we get the same grungy-ish swatch and the plain swatch, but even so, if you don't look at it as grunge, it could just add a little more life or like marbly effect, just a little more dimension, because these ones do look quite plain. And then we've got these gargoyles, which are a little scary, not gonna lie. Are they not? I mean, they've got these weird beak thingies, and they're, I don't know, it's almost like they're supposed to be werewolves, but yeah, they've got the beak thing going on. I don't know. And then look at their 3 hand claws and then their 2 clawed feet. Kind of weird, right? But yeah, these little house things on there are kind of interesting. And then this looks like a little cloud to me. Again, we've got the grungy ones and then the not so grungy ones. So yeah, I don't know. Are you guys going to be using these gargoyle ones? I kind of want to know where you guys are going to put them. Like, we got a ton of swatches of them. But yeah, are you guys going to use them? We'll be going over the styled rooms now, and then towards the end, we'll also go through the swatches of the styled rooms. These are great if you're not really sure how to use certain items. They're also good if you are just not into building with them, but you know, you want to create something. Now, my thoughts on this pack, I actually think that they did the theme very well. I wish that we would have gotten more purple in some of the items, because I feel like some of this is giving off a royal vibe here. And you know, with the bed swatch, we did get a royal purple, so I feel like that was a big one. Oh, and I do need to mention that the coffins, or the caskets, whatever you want to call them, were indeed beds, so that makes up for that. So if you're leaving in a comment, yeah, those are beds. Yep, okay, we got that now. But I really love the cracking on the walls that you can put up on there. I love the grunge to it. The water stains that you can put on the wall. I don't know why, but I am just so into that. It gives a lot of realism to this. I think it's really cool. So that is actually that's one of my favorite things about this pack, to be honest. A lot of the stuff, I mean, like the fence, I wish we would have gotten another gate, because it just doesn't feel right for me to have such a large gate with a small fence. So I don't know what they were doing there. I know they're limited on how many items they can put in this, but if you're into vampires, I think this goes with the theme very well. Obviously, you might want to like the cast and the gameplay, but I think it's really good. All right, guys, if you have any other recommendations, drop them in the comments below. I will see you in the next one. Bye.